it's Teresa from the VIA Education Department, and I'm here today to teach you a lesson all about the weather of all things. So today we're going to learn about the weather. Why don't we take a look outside? My cameraman is going to pan over to the window there. And what kind of weather does it look like today? It is sunny out, which is really, really exciting because we don't get a lot of sun here in northeastern Pennsylvania. So you probably have seen the weather, you've heard the weather, you probably watched it on the news with your family. So let's go over the different types of weather that we experience here and across the nation as well. And then we're going to go over some extreme weather conditions and how you can stay prepared for them as well. So the first type of thing that we want to go over is the seasons, because our seasons actually dictates what kind of weather we normally have. So the first thing that we usually have that we're going to go over is fall or autumn. You can always tell when it's fall when the leaves start changing. There's a crisp chill in the air, and you also go back to school in the fall usually, right? So you're usually going to school in September and the weather is starting to change. It gets darker a little bit earlier. That is what fall is. The type of weather that we see in fall is basically we see some sun, we see some clouds, and of course the leaves change and they fall off the trees. And then we get to winter. So winter is basically a time where everything gets cold, right? It gets really, really cold. You have to put on your snowsuits, and you see precipitation, which is things falling from the sky, mostly water, in forms of water. So one of the things that you may see in that transition from fall to winter is you may see something called sleet. And I have a picture here for you. This is sleet. What sleet is basically rain that's coming from the clouds, and then it freezes as it's dropping to the air. And then it gets to the ground and it looks like shaves of ice on the ground. It's very dangerous to walk in, and it's very dangerous to drive in as well. So that is one of the forms of precipitation you see a lot in winter when it's starting to get colder, in months like November, December, January. And then as we get even colder, another type of precipitation that we get a lot of is we get something called hail. We don't see this as much in northeastern Pennsylvania, but in other parts of the country we do see it more. And this is basically a larger form of sleet. Sometimes it can be extremely dangerous because if you can see here, this person's hands in this picture, they're really big. They're like ice cubes, guys. And so when that hits your car or even hits you on the head, it could really hurt and cause some damage. So when you see that in the forecast it's going to actually start to hail, that usually means that you want to stay indoors. You don't want to go outside. It can be very, very dangerous. Okay? And of course, when we talk about winter, what else do we talk about? We talk about snow. And snow is a really fun form of precipitation. It's like a slush, right? It's coming down from the clouds, and it's a water base, so it melts just like an ice cube would. And basically what snow does is it hits the ground and it stays there as long as the ground is cold. And during the winter, we get snow days, which I'm sure you all love a lot, because you're able to actually skip school for a couple of days. But snow is usually during our winter time months. Now we're going to get into spring. And spring is what I call a transition season. So it's usually like April and May, which when I'm filming this, it's actually spring right now. And spring is when all the flowers bloom, you get a lot of sun, you get a lot of rain, of course, that precipitation of rain, and you get the changing of the seasons, moving in to summer. So you get some cold days, you get some really warm days, and you get a lot of rain so that the grass gets greener and the flowers start to bloom and everything looks really, really beautiful. And then of course, everyone's favorite 3 months, June, July, and August, is summer. That's when it's cold, it's warm, it's not cold. It is warm outside. Maybe you're going to a pool, you're having a pool party. That's a really fun time, and you're out of school, right? So you're able to kind of hang out with your friends. It's lighter for a longer period of time. So when you get to summer, you also feel something that I really want to kind of address. It's called humidity. And in northeastern Pennsylvania, we get a lot of humidity in our summer. What is humidity? Humidity is basically that feeling of really moisture and wetness on your skin. It makes your hair stick to the back of your neck. It makes you feel tired. It makes you feel sticky. That is called humidity. And humidity has a lot of purposes, but what it really does is that it actually transforms and can affect our weather in a lot of different ways. And one of the ways that it affects us is through something called a hurricane. Now, we don't see a lot of hurricanes around here. We are not near a body of water. Hurricanes form in large bodies of water like the ocean. We're not really near an ocean, so we don't really see that. But hurricanes can be a really destructive force. And usually it's destructive when you're near water and also when you have a really high humidity contact. And one of the states in the United States that has both of those things is a state called Florida. Florida literally jets out at the bottom of the country into the ocean. And it is quite literally all built upon a marsh and swampland. They have so much water in their soil and in the ground, they can't even have a basement, because if they do, if they dig underneath their houses, all of the water will rise up, and it will basically, it won't be possible for them to go down there anymore. They also have a lot of swamp animals like alligators, crocodiles, lots of bugs, right? So they have beautiful weather almost all the time, because not every state has the 4 seasons, which we went over, like we do. Some states are mostly cold. Some states have a variety of seasons. For Florida people, it's basically hot and hotter. Those are the 2 types of seasons that they have. So they have summer, and then they have extreme summer. So when you have all that humidity, that stickiness, you have all that water, you're literally jetting out into a large body of water like an ocean, you are prone to get something called a hurricane. And what hurricanes are is that they are really big, dangerous thunderstorms. So they have high winds, they create big waves that can be really deadly, and they also create a lot of rain. And the rain goes actually in a slant formation because there's so much power and wind in those rains. So Florida, people who live in Florida and places that are prone to hurricanes, there's actually a season called hurricane season, and they are very used to this. So they have all the preparedness that you could possibly have in order to be prepared for a hurricane. But the good thing about a hurricane, if you really want to take that, is that it actually can be tracked. We can track hurricanes. We have satellites, we have weather systems that we can actually have people sit there and track all of the hurricanes, because they form out in the ocean. So we're able to actually watch the hurricanes as it's slowly moving towards land, and because of that, we're able to do a lot of things. We're able to warn everybody that it's coming, and we'll also be able to categorize it. So what is categorizing a hurricane? You'll see it on the news a lot. Categories is they do it by numbers. The higher the number, the more forceful and worse the hurricane is. So people in Florida, they sit there and they watch the news and they check to see what kind of category it is. If it's a category 5, it's going to be a doozy. If it's a category 1, it's not going to be that bad. But they're so used to it that they already know what to do, they already know where to go, and they have all of their kits already prepared. So I said they can be tracked. They can be tracked. I have a picture here, and it's over Florida, of course, of a hurricane, a satellite view of a hurricane. That's a doozy. That's a big boy. But that's right over Florida. You can't even see Florida because it's covering Florida. And that's what a hurricane looks like from the sky. It's a swirl. And as you can see, this is all ocean under here. And here is America coming in. Florida's actually kind of usurped taken over by that hurricane, that picture of that hurricane. So this is all caused from humidity and conditions in the ocean brought into the state of Florida, okay? So that's one big one that I really wanted to kind of go over. And the main one that I really wanted to go over with you today, another type of natural weather force that can be very destructive and scary, is a tornado. Now, I don't know if anyone has ever seen a tornado before or watched a video of a tornado, but a tornado is basically a cylindrical, a rounding, a funnel shape of debris and dirt, sometimes water, not mostly, that goes from the ground to the clouds. So it's formed from a cloud coming down to the ground. Now, there are a lot of very scary things about tornadoes, and the first thing that's very, very scary about a tornado is that we can't track them. We can only, we don't have any warning system for them. They just appear. That's it. They just appear. And then you have to just get ready to go immediately with a tornado. Unlike with a hurricane, where we can track them for months, weeks on end, and really warn everybody and really categorize it. For tornadoes, it is all last minute, okay? The other thing about a tornado is that because it's in a funnel shape, it can move. Unlike a hurricane that you saw in the picture, that's a pretty big hurricane, right? So it's a kind of just moving at a slow pace. Whereas with a tornado, which I'll show you a picture of one, it doesn't have that type of depth. It's not as big. So it's able to kind of move around, which means, and you've probably maybe have heard of this, that sometimes tornadoes can actually go down a street and miss the entire side of one street, but get the whole other side. So a whole block of people will be affected, and the other half of the block won't be affected. So that's how you cannot figure out where they're going to go next and who they're going to hit next. So that's the scary thing about a tornado. I'm going to show you a picture of what a tornado looks like. This is a tornado, but as you can see, it's right next to a road, and it can move. It can move any which way it wants. And we have people that actually do track tornadoes and try to figure out where they're going and try to figure out the science behind them, but they're so quick and so random when they appear that we don't have that capability as of right now, okay? Now, where are tornadoes formed? Tornadoes are mostly formed in an area that is flat, okay? Because tornadoes, a lot of that is wind. And in order to get that wind to come through, you need an area that doesn't have a lot of trees, doesn't have any mountains or hills. It is just flat. In the picture, it is just a flat area. If you ever looked around around you in your yard, or when you're going to school in your mom or dad's car, we have mountains that are actually around us. And those mountains actually do protect us from a lot of things like hurricanes and also tornadoes to an extent. So we are actually able to not really be as affected by tornadoes or hurricanes because we're, A, not near any body of water, and B, we don't have that wind force, that gust that you need on like a plain or a very flat surface like farmland, because the mountains create a barrier from the wind. And also we have a lot of trees, we have a lot of hills. So we typically don't see tornadoes, typically don't see tornadoes that are this large, but Mother Nature is always known to throw a curveball. And not too long ago, we actually did get a tornado here, and we were not prepared because we are not used to this. And so it actually came into the Wilkes-Barre area, and you might have seen it on the news. You might know of somebody, maybe a family member or a friend, who was affected by it. And it was very, very destructive. It was very, very sad. So Mother Nature is always evolving. And so even though, we say, well, September, October, and November are our autumn months, if you've noticed, September actually has become warmer according to the data, and we're moving our autumn months to October, November, and December. And then when we get most of our snow and sleet is usually when it's January, February, and March. So the Earth atmosphere is always changing. We are always changing. Mother Nature is always changing. So although we don't typically get tornadoes, it is possible, right? And we're going to go over how you could be prepared in case you were in a situation where you have to be prepared immediately. But first, I want to do a really quick project. So this project and this experiment is really easy to do. You can do it at home with the help of your parents. And it's really quick, and it'll kind of give you an idea of what a tornado looks like. You're going to be able to create a tornado in your own home. Now, don't get scared. You are not going to be knocking over tables. Your house is still going to be intact when we're finished with this. It's going to be a tornado in a bottle. So we're going to create this tornado in a bottle. So what you need is you need a plastic bottle, and you're going to fill it almost to the top with water, okay? And then you're going to put a little tiny drop of dishwasher liquid in the water, and that's going to create a fizz. So this already has water in it. We dyed it blue with food coloring so you guys can see it better on camera, and it has a little bit of dishwashing soap in it. So I'm going to show you what to do. You fill it up a little bit more than halfway. You put the top lid on really, really tight. That's really important. You do not want to do this with no lid or with a lid that's loose, because the water is going to go everywhere, okay? And make sure that you have the permission from your parents to help you with this, okay? Because although it's not hard, we don't want to create a mess in your kitchen, okay? Okay, so I'm going to come closer to the camera. So here's what you do. Here is the bottle, right? You flip it upside down, which is why you need that top to be really, really tight, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold it by the neck. You're going to hold it by the neck, and you're going to shake it, and you're going to go in a circular motion. So like this. Shake, shake, shake. See if we can get it going here. I'll do it again. There you go. Oh, there it is. Can you see it, guys? Let's do another one. You have to let the suds kind of settle a little bit.
I think we got it.
Okay, we're going to do one more.
Let's put it to the window. Oh, that's better.
See how it's going in a funnel shape? We'll do one more so you can see it in the window here.
There we go.
There, look at that, guys. See? There you go. Now you can see it. That is what a tornado, of course, a tornado does not exist in water, technically. But that is the same type of shape and motion that a tornado has. And you can do this at home. It's really, really simple. Like I said, all it is just a water bottle, a little bit more than halfway full, a little bit of dishwashing liquid, and a really tight top, and flip it over, and then all you have to do is this. Now be careful, you don't want to do it too much because there is soap in here, so it suds up. So you want to make sure you only do it a couple times and rinse out the bottle and do it again if you want to see more. Now, the thing about tornadoes is that they are unpredictable, but it's very interesting because there's something that people talk about in big, massive storms that we don't really talk about when we're here because we don't experience storms like this. And that is called the eye of the storm. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but in a tornado, as you saw in the bottle and in the picture, it's a funnel. So it's literally debris and dirt going in a circle. And when you go in a circle, when you play Roundy Roundy Rosie or any kind of game where you're walking around in a circle like the Hokey Pokey or the Chicken Dance, there's a middle, right, where there's nobody there. That's what the eye of the storm is. So you're going around a circle, and in the middle, there's nothing there. So the eye of the storm is that middle portion. And what's interesting about it is that when you're in the middle of a big, big storm and you get to the eye of the storm, you actually feel like as if it's over because it's quiet, it's peaceful. But really what's happening is that it's still going and tornadoes move. So as the tornado moves, you start to get the rest of the tornado towards the end. But it's just because you were in the middle of the tornado that you weren't feeling anything. You thought it was over when it's really not. And hurricanes have the same thing. As they go through, there's always a part where you're kind of in the middle of it and there's a peace. It feels like it's done, but it's really, really not. So that's a really interesting fact about storms is that they're so big, but there's always a peace in midst of all of the destruction and the scare and the volume and the heaviness of it, right? It's because it's just, you're in the eye of it. You're kind of in the middle of it. You're in the center of it before it's starting to move away from you. So we talked about the destruction that Mother Nature can give us with tornadoes, hurricanes, thunderstorms even. I mean, we've had some pretty horrible thunderstorms here, and I don't know if you guys get scared of thunderstorms, but I do, especially if you hear that crack of lightning or that thunder, right, in the middle of the night. You can be really, really scared by things like this. These are things that you don't have a lot of control over because it's the weather, it's whatever it is. We can't make the sun come out. We can't make it stop raining. So what do you do when you want to prepare? And this is a really fun activity. So when you are at home with your parents or guardians or grandparents today and the rest of the year basically, why don't you guys ask them if they have an emergency kit? And what is an emergency kit? An emergency kit is something that you kind of create in a bag and put somewhere safe so that in case of emergency, you are able to survive for at least a couple days without having all the things that we have normally, like our cell phones, microwaves, ovens, lots of food, water. You're able to actually kind of put all that into one bag in one place and store it for a very long period of time, and then you know that you're always going to have that emergency kit. People who live in places like Wyoming, which is a very flat state, which means that it gets a lot of tornadoes and bad storms, or people who live in Florida, who get a lot of hurricanes, they already have emergency kits because they are used to it. But now we, I think, should be preparing just in case, because as I said, Mother Nature loves to throw curveballs. So I'm going to go over with you some of the basic necessities that you guys could go around your house and find out if you have, and then you can grab a bag and you can put it somewhere safe so that in case of emergency, you'll be prepared. So, typically emergency kits are in a bag or a book bag. So here is a book bag that I have. And we're going to go over what's in this book bag, okay? So I'm going to open it really quick. Actually, the first thing that you need is water. And you're going to need more than this. So if you can find it now, try to get the big jugs, the gallon size of water. You're going to need water. So make sure that you have the water stored. This wouldn't fit in the bag, but you have put the water wherever the bag is. And you want it to be someplace that has a cap on it so nothing's going to get into it. So we got water. Okay, here we go. So, you don't know when you're going to have an emergency. You don't know when you're going to need this bag. So you have to kind of think of all the different weather patterns and all the different seasons that we have. And one of those seasons that it could happen is winter, which means that it's going to be cold. So no matter where you are, you want to make sure that you have a blanket. So just grab a blanket that your parents don't mind going missing into an emergency kit. Remember, ask permission before you get all this stuff from it, or have them help you. You need a blanket. And because it's so cold, especially at night, you need something warm for yourself to wear. So how about a sweatshirt? Here's a sweatshirt. We have that in there. And 9 times out of 10, mostly, you are going to then also lose power, because when you have an emergency situation where there's a lot of wind, a lot of rain, you're going to probably lose power. So that means you need a flashlight. And this flashlight actually turns into a lantern as well. It's an old flashlight from when I was in my Girl Scout camping days. So you need a flashlight so that you can see everything. And probably the most important thing that every home should need, even if you don't have a bag with an emergency kit, you should have a first aid kit. Now this first aid kit I actually bought that was already pre-made. So it had everything in it. It should have Band-Aids in it, some sort of alcohol swabs, maybe some light medications, bandages, things of that nature. So everybody should have an emergency kit. Now you should ask your family, your mom, your dad, your guardians, grandpa, grandma, whoever you're living with at the time, you know, do you have a first aid kit? And if they say no, ask them if we can make a first aid kit. Now here's the important thing about first aid kits. If it's going in your bag for an emergency plan, you want to make sure that you're not using the stuff that you already have in your cabinets. Now why is that? Because you don't want to have to be going through this first aid kit throughout the years that you've been using it and then leaving it in the bag, and then when you actually have an emergency, everything's gone from it. You have no Band-Aids. You don't have any Tylenol, you know. So you want to make sure that you buy new stuff, or you can buy, they have them at the dollar store, I've even seen them. Make sure that you have a separate kit that you only use in case of emergencies. Okay, really, really important. Now, you can't live without water, and you can't live without food. So you're not going to have an oven, you're not going to have a microwave, you're not going to have a refrigerator because the power is out. So what kind of food do you keep in something like this? It's going to last for a very long time. Canned food. So you're going to need canned food. So this is a can of chicken noodle soup, but baked beans works, even canned veggies works. All of those things that are in the canned aisle in the grocery store, those are the things that last for a very, very long time. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you learned a lot today. I hope that you do consider creating an emergency kit for the safety of you and your loved ones. And make sure you stay tuned on WVAA. We have so many other resources on our website, WVAA.org. Tell your parents about that. Let them know about this cool experiment that you may want to try. And also keep watching. We will continue to do really cool lessons from area teachers like myself. And hopefully you'll be able to learn something while you're away from the classroom and from school. Have a great day, guys. See you later. Bye.